Well, let's open this meeting of the Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission on this day, May 4th, 2023. And we'll start with, oh, good, there's Steve. Oh, good. Hi, Steve. We just started. No problem. So we'll start with a public hearing for the certificate of occupancy for 1761 Farmington Avenue, for the replacement of the porch framing, decking, and most importantly, this evening, the lattice work. So, Garrett, do you want to read the public notice, or do you need to?
I have.
There you go.
I'm having a tough day.
No, I just realized I forgot to load it in.
That's okay.
Ed.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Great.
Good,
How are
good.
you?
All right.
Doing good, thanks.
All right, all set, Lisa? Got it.
Yes. You got it? Okay.
Town of Farmington, Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission. Notice is hereby given that the Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission will hold a hybrid, in-person and online public hearing on Thursday, May 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the following application. 1761 Farmington Avenue, LLC, application for certificate of appropriateness to replace lattice and complete decking on front porch at 1761 Farmington Avenue, Unionville. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public meeting. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council Chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website as presented. A copy of this proposal is on file in the Planning Department at Town Hall, Farmington, Connecticut, and may also be accessed on Farmington's official website as presented. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, April 17th, 2023, Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission, Lisa Johnson, Chair.
Great. Good. All right. You all remember the history with this application. At the last meeting, we did talk with Mr. and Mrs. Fillion about the porch framing and the decking, which were urgent matters. Mr. Fillion is working on the project, or was working on the project at the last meeting, and needed to have approval to go ahead with the framing and the decking, which we did give to him. But we said that the lattice work would need to go through the process of the COA application. So, and I see Garrett has material right here for us. Are the Fillions coming to speak, Garrett? Have you heard from them?
I thought they were. They're not here. It's the commission. I did ask them a couple questions about the application last week before I sent out the agenda, so I might be able to answer some of them, but if there's anything the commission can't address, then we have to continue it to June, unfortunately.
Okay, okay. Well, so
looking to replace the existing wood lattice with a vinyl lattice. They'll still paint it the same color that it was before to match the house. It's a different color, I'm sorry. The original lattice was brown, I think, or maroon. I think if you drive by, you can still see it on the framing of the decking, but they'll paint it to match the color of the house.
isn't the house maroon? Am I remembering that wrong? What color is the house?
Yeah, it's a dark red, brick red, maybe.
Yeah, so, so they're, oh, I see. Oh, I
Brick
see.
red and red. The
Yeah.
existing lattice was brown.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, okay. All right, commissioners, questions or comments?
They're using vinyl?
Yes, because
Is
it's,
that gonna last?
yeah, it's
Yeah?
because of the ground contact. That was the problem with the old lattice, was that it was wood and it was in, once you have the mulch beds and everything in the front to make it look nice, it starts eating away at the
Right.
wood. So they're proposing the white vinyl. I think they generally have a wood texture. Not that you'll be able to see it from the road, but
Yeah. Be able to see it from the sidewalk.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right. We cannot actually we don't have purview over a paint color, so the red versus the mauve is inconsequential for us as commissioners, but does anybody have a negative feeling about the use of vinyl as opposed to wood? No?
No.
I
Okay,
guess I've seen too many commercials where they point out how bad vinyl is, so. That if it becomes, breaks down and cracks or whatever, then they'll end up replacing it again. So
Mhm.
they've looked into the quality of the vinyl, I hope.
Wasn't Luke's pointing out that he didn't want it to go slanted? He wanted
he-
it to be up and down?
No, I asked him about that directly and he said that it would be slanted as the original is. But I think we ought to, when we have a motion, we ought to include that specifically. Does that answer your question, Bob?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, could I have a motion to approve the replacement of the lattice at 1761 Farmington Avenue with new vinyl lattice applied in the same manner that the original lattice was? You can just,
I so move.
thank you, Barbara. Can I have a second?
No, a second.
Thank you. Any other discussion, comments, or questions about the application? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approval of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
I,
Any nays? Any abstentions? Very good, the motion carries. The COA is approved then. Thanks, Garrett. All right. So Rose Ponte is with us. We have a guest. And she would like to talk about the a municipal cultural district for Unionville. So Rose, take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I think I've met most of you, but just in case you don't know, I am the Economic Development Director for the town. And at a fall business breakfast that we hosted, we had Liz Shapiro, who is the Director of the Office of the Arts for the Department of Economic and Community Development. So she her office is in charge of the promotion of the arts, but also of historic preservation and cultural institutions. And one of the things that she told us at the breakfast was that municipalities now have the opportunity to establish cultural districts. And there's a process by which we do all of that. I was, quickly very interested in it. And to my surprise, by the time I left the breakfast and came back to my office, I had 3 or 4 different people call me and say they thought it was a great idea to establish a cultural district.
Great.
So what I did was I kind of wanted today to really sit down and have a conversation and dialogue with all of you to explain what this cultural district can be and to really talk about some of your feelings on how you think it should go. So I first thought it's important to realize what is a cultural district. And in 2019, the legislature passed an act which allows for municipalities to establish a cultural district. And they must work with their regional arts council for the process. Our regional Farmington and Unionville are in the Greater Hartford Arts Council. That's our regional council. So I presented it to the Economic Development Commission, and they agreed that they thought it would be wonderful to establish a cultural district. And so in going with what is a cultural district, it has to be located in the state of Connecticut. It has to have defined boundaries. It has to have cultural facilities and assets that are all within a walkable, accessible area, and the district should have public infrastructure and amenities. So that's what it is. So why would someone want to establish a cultural district? And it's really, if you think about it, it's a way for us to promote and highlight our arts and culture to different visitors that might come into town. It really starts to strengthen the distinctive character of our community, and it attracts new residents, new businesses, it drives economic growth, it expands the tax base, or it has the potential for all of this. So then, it would also contribute to the region and the state's cultural assets, as well as promoting tourism and increasing visitation to town. So that's why a lot of it was especially beneficial, or the Economic Development Commission thought that it would be a really smart move for us to do that. So in the initial steps, we must have one community meeting for everyone to learn about this proposed district and to give their comment. And then after that meeting, the town council would have to vote to approve a cultural district by passing a resolution, and then members would be appointed. And the way that districts work, you can either appoint a district commission, which is kind of difficult because a lot of times we have trouble staffing our different committees and commissions. But an easier way, and one that is just as effective, is to make a cultural advisory committee to the Economic Development Commission. And that way we would still have the input from all the different different cultural leaders, but still have, you know, an advisory group, which is necessary. So what tasks would need to be completed in order for us to do that? Well, I think one of the first tasks is determining, are we going to have one large district, which includes Unionville and Farmington, or should we have two? I had the opportunity to meet with Lisa, and one of the Economic Development Commissioners really felt that it would be great to, if you can envision doing a barbell with one circle being Unionville, Farmington Avenue is the pole, so to speak, and then the other barbell head would be Farmington Village. And especially with, you know, there are historic houses on Farmington Avenue, so we could do that, but is it really walkable within set boundaries? And that's when I had my partner in crime here, Garrett, and he took out the different maps, and we started seeing this is a very large district. So I called the Greater Hartford Arts Council representative who's helping me with this. Her name is Amanda Roy, and she said, well, why don't you just have the Farmington Cultural District, and then you can say an asterisk, other great things to visit while you're in the Farmington one. I said, that's not going to cut it for me or for the Economic Development Commissioners. They did not like that. And because many towns do that as well. But then when we really started reading the regulations, it does allow for one town to have more than one cultural district. And I really believe, and Garrett and I, when we were looking at the map, and that's why I want your input, I think it might be beneficial to have two distinct cultural districts. I think the more the merrier, but not only that, I think there's so many. I just finished doing the Pocket Park in Unionville, and I inputted all the Unionville walking tours, and there's such a wonderful mass of beautiful historic homes, and there is quite a bit to see right in Unionville, as well as in Farmington. And we just felt that we think keeping each distinct character might really be advantageous. But that would be one of the first things, and probably getting your input, but then having that be a discussion point when we go to the community meeting, just to get everybody's input. The other tasks that need to be completed as part of the process is an inventory of the cultural assets, and that includes cultural facilities, artistic spaces, creative businesses, historical sites, and cultural events or activities that take place within these districts. Then once we've inventoried all of that, we would create a map which includes all these items, and then we have to prepare a walking tour of each district. And then members from DECD, from the Office of Historic Preservation, from the Office of the Arts, they actually would take the tour with, the commission and with everyone who's involved, and then they will give us recommendations, what may need to change or whatever suggestions they may have, and then we fill out the application, and then we ask for their approval. Once it's approved, then we are considered an official cultural district in the state of Connecticut, and through their own branding and on their websites, we would be, classified as such. And as of right now, there's not any state money specified for cultural districts, but I will say the legislature, in their budget considerations, has received requests from the Office of the Arts and more tourism to really bump up those funds. So I would imagine that there will, if it gets approved, that all that additional funding will in fact go to tourism and promotion of districts. So it would be quite beneficial to be an official cultural district. So the next step would really be to start sharing feedback with the EDCs. So I would share any thoughts that you guys gave me today. We would have to plan a community meeting, and then during that meeting also receive feedback, and then at the end determine should we have one district or two. Those are the immediate next steps, and then we then start plan. Once that's determined, then we would start to have appointments for people we would ask who would like to be on this advisory committee, and then that committee starts to plan for the walking tour with the different people that are involved, and then we move forward from there. That committee eventually would be establishing goals, what goals they would like the district to accomplish. They would talk to what marketing materials we should create. They would talk about different events that perhaps should be taking place. And it's really an oversight of whatever cultural district gets approved. So that's kind of the recap. And now I just open it up for your comments and questions.
Thank you, Rose.
Library and high school be included in this, because they are cultural centers.
They are cultural centers, and we have to be careful in that, if you remember, one of the prerequisites is that whatever district we establish, it has to have defined boundaries. And those boundaries are supposed to be walkable and accessible and not too very far away. So I think, for example, the Barney Library would be included, I would imagine, in the Farmington, if we do split it up, in the Farmington district. I think it might be a reach to go from Unionville all the way to the high school, but if the town decides that we just try to apply for one large district, the barbell scenario that we first came up with, then the high school and the library would be included.
The high school is within walking distance of Unionville. I mean, because the
Yeah.
kids walk it,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and they even...
I walk it all the time.
And they even walk from the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
So it's walkable. No, I'm just thinking in terms, there's so much that goes on at the high school and library to include them in events. I don't know if we have artists in town or writers or, I don't know, we may, we probably do,
Yeah,
but, I think that would certainly be a group we'd want to include.
yeah,
I'm just gonna pull up, there's 4 towns that have done it so far.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up just
In
Torrington's.
the state, right?
in the state, yeah, the first one was Richfield, the second one was Torrington, I believe Weathersfield,
And
Bloomfield, or Bloomfield's applying, Manchester's applying currently,
Manchester's looking to do 2 separate districts.
yeah,
So if you look at,
Big area.
right,
so this one is
so if you look at
Torrington.
Torrington, it's got a, a defined area that it's a block. It's not a city block, but
No.
it's just one kind of square that fits everything in. I think what Rose had mentioned of, we decide on 2 districts, you can still say there's items of interest outside of the district, and we can just include it as additional information. I think Weathersfield does that.
Yes, Weathersfield.
Weathersfield has a map for their very small downtown, but then they also add that there's restaurants and stuff outside of this specific cultural district that you might be interested in.
Does it include, restaurants considered a cultural?
No, but they do want amenities.
Oh,
So they
Yeah.
want creative businesses, but they also want amenities, because remember, this is to attract tourism. And so having restaurants and, theaters, of course, we don't have theaters, but nevertheless, that is encouraged.
Mhm,
We've
mhm.
got restaurants, we've got the gallery, on Mill Street.
Yeah,
Um,
we have the photography studio, we have Unionville Museum, we have the gazebo, we have all the walking tours. I thought that,
that's museum.
yeah, right.
So we've got Suburban Park, you've got the cemetery, you've got the site of the old church, you've got the
firehouse.
firehouse. So at least for Unionville, you could definitely grab Stop and Shop. Probably not Sanford and Hawley, it is a historic building.
But that
But
might
for-
be kind of cool. You can grab Sanford and Hawley as the end boundary and then include Suburban Park.
Right, and then we can include Suburban Park, which has, it's walking trails, it's limited with the entrances, it's not like a traditional park, but you've got the entrance on Cottage Street, the entrance on, Park Pond Place, and then kind of swoop up here to get the, I'm
Homes.
going the wrong way, yeah, some of the historic homes, the church, and then coming down, you've got Union School, which is a historic building, and then you can also, that will catch the museum, and I forget what's next door.
Oh,
Next
there's
door to a museum.
youth center.
The old church.
The old church, yeah.
Yeah.
Always wanted to go in there.
So this map that I did for Rose, this includes,
Youth Center,
Yeah.
The youth center.
it
yeah.
includes, there's marker, and I'll share this with everyone, there's markers for what we kind of have a list so far of for cultural, food, drink, shopping, and then anything in the pale yellow is part of the historic district. Just kind of like a little,
Hmm.
so you can help you identify some spots, because I know sometimes aerial photos aren't as easy to interpret. That,
wonder-
keep it precise, but mentioning that there's stuff outside of the district that you can also visit.
Yeah. I just wonder if it's worthwhile going a little farther east on Farmington Avenue to the park, and I cannot remember the name of it, but the park that's dedicated
On
to
the
the.
flood?
Thank you, thank you.
Yadkin? Or no, Yadkin's.
Yeah.
Yadkin's
Yes,
Park,
yes.
right, because it's there are benches there and you could walk around, you could walk to the river.
Yes,
Right.
Farmington,
River
yeah,
access.
that's very true.
yeah, so, and that really covers, although we hope for more buildings to be included in the historic district east up Farmington Avenue, we're not quite there yet. But if you were to move and include that park, many of our buildings would be included in the cultural district. And you could also then, if you wish to, talk about the flood of 55, which,
Yeah,
a huge
Absolutely.
impact on the town.
One can argue it changed the town.
Absolutely, no question about it, no question. No question. And it's
I
also
think
a place where you could really see the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other thoughts, commissioners? Do you like the idea?
Yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, 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 very much. So would this cultural district be a entity that would then be able to create programs? For example, not just static programs that people could access when they want to, but programs such as what we're doing on June 11th. Is that
That's
part-
what that's actually what I'm envisioning.
Yeah.
And really starting to have a group of us, really start to look at how do we leverage these wonderful cultural assets that are in town, and how do we leverage it to increase awareness, to enrich the lives of our own residents, but also encourage visitors. So a lot of that work will be done, by volunteers and, on this advisory committee, and
Yeah.
it could really, take on, we would have to, talk about, the money that it takes to do, different events, but I think that, we do need some events, and look at the events you guys are doing. I think, I'm working with Matt Ross emailed me and told me about this great app, and perhaps, that could be something that, this cultural district would do, and, perhaps since the lead is Economic Development Commission, that could be a commission that, through their budget process goes before the town council and says, as part of our budget request, we would like X amount to promote the village. I'm just talking off the top of my head. I'm not saying that would exactly happen, or the town council would approve more funding or anything like that, but at least it starts to put a process in place,
Right.
a set of folks that are dedicated to this, and it starts going.
Great. I think it also gives a great opportunity for cultural organizations and people involved in cultural organizations to work with retail in Unionville, which we do periodically, but we haven't much in the last few years. And I think that would be a great partnership to enliven.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree.
All right. Do we all feel it's a good idea? Everybody think it's a good idea? Yeah. Steve's nodding up and down. Okay. Ed's nodding up and down. We're sort of the
Yes, sounds
bobbleheads
great.
up here.
So do you
Great.
guys think that it should be two, like, for your input,
Oh, yeah.
would you rather have two separate districts or one large district? What do you guys think?
Two separate. Yeah, they're just too far apart. They're just way too far apart.
Right.
I agree.
No, it's not just that we're too far apart, I think we're really different.
Very different.
Yeah. I know, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling in both areas is different.
Yeah.
Okay, two it is. I like the barbell metaphor. I've never heard that before.
That was
It
my
works for
commissioner
our town,
was
too.
Phil Chabot, because I was struggling trying to figure out how we were going to do this. And
Yeah.
Phil goes, just draw a barbell. And so Karen and I were sitting here trying to figure it out, and no matter how big the map was, it just didn't look right. And to go from, Unionville and walk all the way to Main Street, I'm like, That's a long district.
'Cause
That's
it's
a
part
long
of the
district, yeah.
establishment of a walking tour.
It's a
Yeah.
the walking tour is part of the approval process.
Yeah, they're not gonna walk that.
And I thought, oh gosh,
5 miles?
I'll get those commissioners mad at me, and they won't, the people from DECD and everyone else, they won't approve us.
How many members would have to be on the advisory board?
The advisory board, it says you must have a minimum of 6 members, and they actually list, someone from a cultural institution, someone from a creative district, an artist that's living or working within the boundaries, some type of arts council if one exists, and someone who owns a for-profit business, not just a creative business. So that's the minimum that you must have. I would envision that, I think it would be, I don't know if this would be possible, I'd have to have guidance, but even if we have 2 separate districts, to have one advisory committee, because then I'm going back, Lisa, to when we had the Heritage Alliance, and, we had everybody around that table, and it was wonderful. Those meetings were very good, and I think, we can have, like, maybe an arts and culture day, and, the ones in Farmington are doing their thing, the ones in Unionville, but it's one day. So I'm envisioning, having representation from both, and having it as one advisory committee.
That's
But
great.
again, that's the type of discussion we'll have during the community meetings.
Great. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. I think I can't think of any downsides to this. Let's just do it. It's great.
I have an EDC meeting next week. I'll let them know that I came before you. I'll reach out to the Farmington Historical District and seeing what their input is. And then I'll report back to the Economic Development Commission. And my guess would be that they, would be happy with having 2 districts. And then it would be going before town council for a resolution. And hopefully they see the benefits of it, and then from there, well, first we'd have to have a community meeting, and then we go to town council, and then once that is approved, then we start making recommendations. So we would ask for people who would like to be considered to be on this advisory committee, and then the big part of it is really planning that tour. I called the economic developer in Torrington. She's a friend of mine, and they were very creative in how they did it. As Garrett said, they just have one main street in Torrington where a lot of their cultural assets are located. So they started off with the different state representatives, the economic development director, and the mayor, and then they started stopping at each of the places, and then each person from that organization talked about what they offered, and then they joined the tour. And by the time they were finished, their crowd, the group had like doubled, and you really saw the vibrancy.
Nice.
And so it was a good way to do it for them. We'll have to put our creative hats on and
I think
see how we can do it.
Matt Ross also mentioned that there was an option for the Pocket Sites app to upgrade it to a more inclusive and
Right, like an enterprise.
dynamic, interactive portion, and that cost of that could be shared by both districts.
Purchased by the town.
Yeah, purchased by the Economic Development Commission. So
Yeah,
that
and it would
the
cover both.
perfect-
Yeah.
Right, that would be really the perfect,
Yeah.
a perfect project for something like
Right
this.
now, we have a freebie, so
Right.
I wanted to make some changes, only I can't, with just one person, you have no collaborative ability, so format has been stuck with that, plus everything at the school, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been a task, but if it was an organization, then, he had some questions whether or not if we bought just the organization and not the highest, which I guess is maybe Enterprise Edition or whatever, whether we could all fall under an organization. I think we can, just under the town umbrella, and just have all the groups be able to share it.
Yeah.
I would think so. So,
Yeah, that would be especially helpful for out-of-town visitors who may not be able to join a in-person walking tour.
Yeah,
Right,
You know, but they could be coming through on the bike trail or
yes.
touring, visiting.
actually,
Foliage.
I forget what I was even looking for online, but something about Farmington, and up came these were just individual people talking about their tours, and there were a whole bunch of our homes were on that tour.
Yeah,
They were trying to do their tour of the Freedom Trail, but they also included other homes, and it was just like, whoa, so other people look at this, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if we had that pocket out there,
it would be beneficial.
it absolutely would. People do go just on day trips. Let's just take a walk
Yeah.
around here.
And even, I think in June, the state every year has open house day, which all museums and cultural institutions are open for free admission. And the state really promotes it. And there are people from all over who love to go. They pick a different town every year and they visit everything. That's the type of event, or even the event that you guys are planning in June. That would be a wonderful event.
Right.
And then there are other things that I think could be quite beneficial. I was approached by the Hillstead Museum. They're having their annual gala, and they wanted to promote the gala by putting banners on the bridge.
Ooh.
And the banners looked beautiful, and they were willing to pay for the installation and do everything. And it was going to be installed by a sign company, so it would be installed properly and safely. But at the end of the day, we came very close to being able to maybe do it under temporary signage. But at the end of the day, we did not have a policy that governed, if we open it up for the gala, what if somebody else wants to do something else? We had no policy that ensured that we would be fair to everyone concerned and that we would think of everything that could possibly needed to be addressed.
Yeah.
But we thought to ourselves, when you're a cultural district, all of a sudden, just like UVIA did beautiful banners saying, "Welcome to Unionville," we didn't have, there was nothing that the Hillstead could work with to make it happen. That to me was such a glaring, we really had a hole there, because it was such a great idea. They had the money. It would have been really beautiful, and yet we couldn't do it. And so I think this type of organization could help with things like that, like having beautiful, banners and having, promotion of cultural assets and events and things of that nature.
No, excellent. Very good. Well, thank you, Rose. This is
My pleasure.
not just in my mind, not just interesting and new enterprise, but it sounds to me like we really have to do it. Our town has always talked so very well about its own history and used that history as an example for people as we move into the future. And I think this cultural district is important in keeping that alive and maybe even making the historical stories more vital and more available to many more people, which is
I think so too.
important.
Yeah.
Very important. All right. And so what, you'll come back to us then, Rose, when you've got a
Absolutely.
couple of stages. If there's
Yeah.
anything
So,
we can help you with.
my next step is going to the Economic Development Commission and sharing, these comments with them, seeing how they want to, what's the next step. Probably then we start planning I'll come back I'll make sure you guys are aware. And then starting to plan for the tour, starting to plan, well, the first thing is that community meeting. That's going to be important. And one last question to all of you. I know a lot of people go away in the summer. Is it the type of thing that we maybe, you know, summer is right around the corner. So I thought to myself, well, maybe we could still have a community meeting in July, but I wouldn't want to miss a lot of people. Do you guys think that it should wait until September, or we should have a community meeting to gather thoughts just to get it going?
You know, there never is a good time.
No.
Because in September, it's back to school, and there are a lot of people,
Yes.
and back to work. And
Yes.
so, I think if you want to go ahead with July, and then a follow-up maybe.
Oh, that might be true, good too, yeah.
You know, get initial input and see, but.
Or we could, you know, we can, yeah, we can hold the community meeting and then make sure we, you know, let people know through our newsletters and such what was discussed and what we're planning, and let them give input.
Mhm.
And then, you know, continue the process.
Might
I'm
there-
wondering if.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. No, I was just wondering if there might be a way that people who might not be in town could offer input online in some way.
I think we could. Well, I know that after each of our business breakfasts, I do an online survey, and it's pretty easy to do. And so, you know, we can ask certain basic questions. Do you agree that a cultural district is something we should be looking at? You know, maybe ask different people, what are some of the assets that you would like to consider on the tour? Would you be interested in volunteering? You know, things like that. And that could actually be sometimes more beneficial, that feedback, than just the community meeting, because as we all know, some people may not be able to make the meeting, or, you know, because of schedule or climate or whatever it may be.
Rose, have you brought this to the Farmington Historic District?
Not yet. I came to you guys first.
Okay. Hope we didn't scare you off.
No, not at all. Oh, gosh, I think the discussion has been great.
I'm just wondering if, when you say a cultural district, and you start asking questions and getting people together, if maybe, you know, maybe someone will stand up and say, you know, I'm a musician, I play whatever, and maybe we could get a group together for that. You know, it could be the beginning of kind of like a spark for
Yes.
more community events if people are aware the community is interested in it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Absolutely.
I'm sure we have a ton of
There's a lot of
untapped
talent, yeah, but we
resources.
don't know about it.
We don't
Exactly.
know.
And they don't know
Exactly,
about
Bob.
each other.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
and they
right.
don't know
So-
about each other.
Yeah, you know, so I
Well,
think,
just so the, you know, all the accolades of our Farmington High School music department.
right.
I mean, just the talent right from our students. So,
That's great.
yeah.
All right, we'll look forward to hearing back from you, Rose. Thank you so
Very
much.
good. Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for inviting me to come.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, very good. All right, thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, you too,
Thank you,
Rose.
Garrett. Garrett is my partner in crime. I called him up one day. I go, Garrett, do you know anything about a cultural district? He's like, no. I'm like, let me tell you.
Oh, good. You got a good
Really
partner
nice,
there,
very
Do you
Rose.
like the pocket park? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
did
so
very well.
glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. You know, it's the type of thing that, you know, not everyone's gonna like it, you know, and so I was like, oh, I was so nervous about
What's
it.
not to like?
Yeah, that's right. What's
I
not
mean,
to like?
what is there that anyone, have
Well, you
had
never
people
know.
complain?
No, on the opposite. In fact, you know, I don't normally go on Facebook. So I ask people, all right, were there any really bad comments? And they're like, no, they were all good. So that was a big relief for me.
Well, I think it's things like that that help create community. Because,
Yes.
you know, we don't, a lot of
So
people
true.
who live in Farmington this is a bedroom of something else. as you can see by the voter turnout.
Yes.
I think we had maybe 2,000 people voting on the budget.
Yeah.
Which was like, that's absurd, people. But anyway, but they complain about their taxes.
Yeah.
But when you see something like that, and you kind of think, well, wait a minute, I live here, this is a real place.
Yes, absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah, and I felt that, I just think Unionville Center is such a perfect little center. I remember I needed to have pictures for Explore Farmington, and it was one evening, and I went around with my camera, and it was right around the holiday time. And I started taking pictures, and I sat on my gazebo, and it was around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Everything was lit up. And I'm like, look at this charm. You can't make this up. This
Right.
is like real, genuine charm. And, you know, it just is so beautiful what we have. So I thought if we could drive people off the trails to have them, because many don't even realize they're so close to the amenities that are,
Right.
we measured it, it's less than 0.2 miles.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway,
that.
it was just
Yeah.
my hope that I could drive more people to the businesses.
Totally.
So,
Well, terrific.
I'm
Thank
glad
you so
liked
much,
it. Thank
Bruce.
you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good
See you
evening,
soon.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well, that's very exciting. Good. We'll look forward to being a part of the process of that terrific project. We do have to approve the April 13 meeting minutes. Did you all have an opportunity to see them and to read through them? If not, Garrett has them on the online on the screen. You could look through them now.
I think he did a good job considering he wasn't here.
Shannon did them. I didn't have to do them, thankfully.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, or did we have you in there and you weren't there? Thank you, Bob. Okay, there's one correction.
No,
Okay.
No.
no, he wasn't here.
But Rob's name
Oh,
is
I
named
see,
here,
I
which
see,
makes it
I
confusing.
see. Got it.
That was a very awkward phone call.
Garrett spelt the
Hi,
same.
Garrett, this is Garrett.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah. Well, has everybody read them? Yeah, okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 13, 2023 meeting, please? Anybody? Thank you. A second?
I second.
Thank you, Steve. Any additions, corrections, comments on the minutes? Hearing none, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? None? Okay, the minutes are approved. We do have a category for other business. Do any commissioners have any subjects you'd like to bring up to the commission or questions for Garrett?
The only thing I have maybe for other business would be, watch out for scams.
Oh,
There's, people I've been hearing have had their chimneys cleaned, and been scammed on it. One lady put out $3,000 to have her chimney fixed, and they never came.
Oh,
Mm.
that's too bad.
They walked away without it. So the best thing to do is check your resources on where you're getting your help from.
Mhm.
I know one time we were thinking about giving lists of suppliers or helpers that could, or workers that could do various projects around the house.
Yeah,
We never followed through on that, but,
Yeah. yeah. Yeah, thank you for that warning, Bob. The scammers are always there, aren't they? But they have new ways of taking advantage of us often. So
Mhm.
thank you for that. Well,
you know,
here,
one guy called and the guy said, well, this is my number, I'm with such and such, and, well, the guy who was having his chimney cleaned went and called the company, and the company said, no, we don't have any contract with you.
ooh, he was
We
smart.
wonder what's going on. That's
Hmm.
just chimneys, so I
Yeah.
imagine there's other things.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you, Bob. Well, then let's move on to our June 11th Lovely Street program, which has made continues to make great progress. So I'm going to just tell you several of us have been working on the press release and also a letter to the residents of Lovely Street to let them know not just about the tour and the exhibit, but also about the fact that we won't be invading their houses when we are on this tour, that we'll be very respectful of their property.
That's the best part.
Yeah, yeah. And in addition, Matt has worked really hard to put together
Right.
the online registration site for the walking tours. So I think we're in good shape, but I will turn this section of the meeting over to Steve and Barbara to tell us more about how it's going and how we can continue to help you.
So for, just real quick before we get to, for the letter, are we sending that to everyone on
So
Lovely Street? Or just
sending-
to the historic homes on the part of the tour?
I think we should send them to everybody on Lovely Street up to Sherman Avenue. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I was thinking to include really only the 22 houses that were kind of highlighting. I think 20 of them are 19th century, and then there's a couple of colonial revivals, and then of course the firehouse. So I don't know, every single resident. I was thinking it would be appropriate to warn the people who live in the houses where the tours are going to basically stop in front of and be pointing at, and possibly people taking pictures. I don't know. You know, so they might be looking out the window and not aware of the tour, and they're wondering what the heck. So I don't know if it's necessary to send it to every single resident on that street.
But if you are, and you are the person who pointed this out yesterday, actually, this is Barbara and I each did a draft of this letter, but it was Steve who put this letter together. It's such a good
Well, I
friend, but also
couldn't have put it
attention
together
letter.
without both of yours, so I basically
That's
you know.
committee, yeah.
I know.
cobbled together. It worked well.
But
Yeah.
Steve, you did point out to us that this is, we're selling the idea of being in the district. And for those houses who aren't in the district, this might be compelling. We want
Yeah.
them to be part of our group. Garrett, is this pragmatically possible? I mean, there aren't
No,
that many-
it doesn't matter either. It's easy either way.
I would send it to everyone because there are gonna be, hopefully, a lot of people walking up and down the street when there ordinarily isn't anyone, but maybe one neighbor walking up. I mean, it's not exactly a street that sees droves of people, and they may be curious about it, and they also may be concerned about it,
Mhm.
living in our weird climate. So I think giving everyone a heads up doesn't hurt anything. I mean,
Okay.
if they happen to be in a little apartment, have nothing to do with it, then, but at least they'll say, gee, there are gonna be a lot of people around. If I go out, I'll just be mindful of that. And it's
Okay.
not gonna be that much more expensive, I don't
No,
think.
no.
Yeah.
Cost isn't that big a deal, and doing the letters isn't that big a deal. I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page before I start doing all that other stuff.
Yeah.
It's about 10 additional residents,
Yeah.
roughly 22 to 32, something
Well,
like that.
we
Yeah, it's,
hello, Lovely Street residents, so we don't say just historic district residents or,
I mean, it's probably a good idea, just in case there's a large group that, you know, is pointing at someone's house across the street.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
especially nowadays.
Which they will be doing.
I mean, I'm sure we'll alert the police department, but,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just wanted to check what you wanted, and
Mm-hmm.
it's no big deal either way. It's not
Okay.
onerous.
Do we need a motion here?
No, it's just with the consensus is.
I have a question on the press release. Should we also put the QR codes for the two downloads?
For the, you mean for the the walking tours
The
themselves?
pocket, yeah, for the pocket tours.
I
the
don't know,
pocket site.
I couldn't decide that. That's a lot of stuff. And yet,
Yeah,
I
I was
understand.
thinking about that today. I think you should stick with one just for the sign up.
Register?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
for the press release, because if you suddenly you're putting 3 QR codes on it, it might be, so, I know you did this, I've got a simpler version of the press release that as long as everyone's okay with the text, I'll put it into a nice, like a design a flyer and everything like that, that we
Okay.
can post. And that, I'll do one larger one for signing up, and then I'll do, if you're interested in doing this tour by yourself, here's, down in the corner that says, here's where you can download the Apple app and the Android app.
Perfect. That's perfect, Garrett. Yeah, good. Good. Thank you for that.
That's better.
I have to get in touch with Matt. I know he had said yes, but he's been doing an awful lot of work, about putting together a PDF. But I'm going to, send him an email. I don't know if he's gotten anywhere with that.
You just
Because
sent an email.
I mean, it doesn't have to even be a PDF. It can even just be a Word document that we then will print out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll put the houses in the same order as the pocket tours. The way he has it going now, which I guess does make sense, we're gonna walk up, when we walk north, when we're walking north,
Northwest.
okay, northwest, we're going to be looking right to the homes across the street because they don't have a sidewalk. And we'll cross over and do the rest of the homes up to Sherman. And when we come back, do the homes on the left side of the street. And that, as far as when to do the fire, Tungus hose, he has it last, and I would really encourage everyone, anyone who's going to be doing a tour, to find out what the group wants to do. Do they want to stop there first for a few minutes or do it on the way back? Either way, it's an extra crossing. What do you think?
I don't think you should leave anything to the group. I think we have to figure out, or you have to figure out the best way to deliver this information and also the safest way, and then operate that way.
Where do you think the fire?
I think it's better to do it at the beginning. And I think that we're probably going to have to be clear about the number of minutes that, I've forgotten his name, the gentleman who will be at the firehouse. And then, I'm sorry?
Yeah, because he can talk for
Last
an
name
hour
is
and a half.
Nini.
Yes, thank you. And then we probably have to be, we have to keep track of that time ourselves. Obviously, you can go over a couple of minutes, but although, I mean, I think that that gives you as the tour guide latitude. If you do it at the beginning, if you do it at the end, well, the end. I mean,
And he could wrap it all up or whatever. And they could stay there as long as they wanted.
as long as they wanted to. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right
That's why I
about.
think it should be at the end.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's put them at the
Yeah.
end. All right,
Then we'll put it at the end, okay.
all right.
Wait, that's where it is now, on the pocket, on pocket sites.
Do you all know what Barbara and Barbara and Steve are talking about here? The fire department is going to open up the old firehouse, and they have a gentleman who's
Yeah, there's the old fire truck in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
going to sit
The
and
fire
test
truck is in
students.
there.
Yeah. So that's a wonderful thing to include on the tour.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, so we have the letter. So we've talked to Garrett about that. The press release. Garrett, would you like one of us to distribute the press release in some way, or is that something that you'll be able to do through the town?
That's something I can do. So I'll send it to the town manager's office. They're the ones that handle most of that stuff. They have email lists for Explore Farmington that it will go out to.
Right.
We do that for the townwide cleanup every year too, so
Right.
that's fine. There's no newsletter that'll be published before then for the town newsletter, but if we do a flyer, we can kind of have that be the image for the Explore Farmington post, and then have the press release in the bottom.
Terrific.
So
Great.
I can work with them about that.
Great.
But yeah, I can send out the press release.
Terrific. Thank you, Garrett. All right.
I'm
Stephen,
sorry,
Go ahead.
can we also, use this press release in social media? Is that okay to post it, say, on Unionville Talks?
I think so.
Yeah, if you want to see, what I was gonna do was, I've got kind of an abridged version, that I'll turn into, I would say more decorative, but it's gonna sound like, spruce it up, colors, images, logos, all the fun stuff.
Okay.
And then that can be posted as part of the social, and that might be better to post like that as an image, on Unionville Talks, and then
Yeah.
put that as kind of text in it, because when people are like scrolling on their phone, they'll probably see, the image will stand out more.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
With,
So you can
obviously
share that PDF. Would it be in a format to be able to copy and then paste?
Yes, I don't remember what the service, but I can do it as a PDF and an image.
Okay.
I'll send that out to everyone. So this is the one I had done. I'll put in the link in the QR code for the sign up on
Okay.
the
Great.
flyer. Barbara and I had spoken yesterday about,
A long time ago.
yeah, the days all blend together at this point. About a note just about the accessibility of the trail, so I talked to Shannon, and we agreed, please note this is a moderately strenuous activity and may not be suitable for all persons.
Perfect.
Given some of the crosses and some of the elevation changes on Lovely Street.
Yeah, great.
Just so it's in there.
And the holes in the ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not wheelchair accommodating.
No,
Right.
not yet.
Right.
No.
That's great. Thank you for that.
Maybe a push to add that to the budget after enough people take
I
the
know
walk.
I know they did, they did
Usually the
Main
people who,
Street last year. I don't remember if they've got a plan for this year. I'll double check. I know there's something they were looking at doing. Sidewalk.
Not while we're taking the tour.
No.
they just did the ones in Farmington.
Yeah.
It was last summer already.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to check. I thought they had talked about doing Unionville, but
Okay. All right. So we have publicity and we have the letter to the residents. Steve and Barbara, is there anything else you'd like to talk to the commission about at this meeting?
I would like for all the commissioners to look at the dates and look at the times, the days the museum is open, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, 2 to 4, and then look at the days and times of the walking tours. And it'd be nice if everybody could at least volunteer for one of those positions, meaning be a tour guide or be a docent, be at the museum when it's open to greet people, to kind of help promote.
But they are gonna need several hands the week before. That we don't really have a time schedule as when they're going to be doing what, but helping to pull the displays together, the week before. They're definitely going to need people, and we
That's right,
promised
set up and
everyone
take
so.
down. That's right, set up and take down also.
So you'll be able to email all of us perhaps when you know when that schedule.
Yeah,
Okay. And Steve, what you were referring to in docening is you mean manning or womaning our historic district table at the
Yep.
Unionville Museum. Is that what you mean? Yeah,
Passing out literature,
Yeah.
taking the fear out of people,
yep,
especially the people on Lovely Street who do live in an older house. And I got a maybe out of 112, the Amorosinos, where I replaced that capital, and haven't got a response back yet from Sarah and Gianfranco, who are on the Unionville Museum Commission.
Great.
I think they're pretty much a shoo-in, and they want me to look at work at their
I
house.
think so too.
I'm going to make that a contingency. I'll give them a discount fee. I'll give them a discount if they
I love it. That's great. Great.
not to personally benefit from my position here. No,
Great.
no conflict. No conflict.
Just a little nudge, right? A little nudge.
So I really think this will really boost because people will be able to talk to us.
Yes,
Ask questions.
absolutely. I totally agree, Steve. And along with that, Karen, if I could just add one thing, and we may have talked about it before, but we are going to need a brand new map of the Unionville Historic Districts. We've used the same one for about 8 years now, and it's pretty tawdry. So, but we can, what we did was we just applied it to a piece of foam core. And I think I've got an easel. We'll figure that out.
Do you want the whole district or just kind of the central Unionville area? Because I mean the here.
Oh, I know. We've got this. We've got the
big.
Yeah, the one up on.
We've got the big area. We've got the one way down Plainville
Yeah.
Avenue.
That's hard.
Well, is there a way to do the entire district? Is there a way to do a little inset of the one that's
Yeah.
close to what? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
I
so
think it's
I'll
important to
do
have
that.
the entire district.
That's
Yeah.
what we have for Farmington, because the old stone schoolhouse is way off in the distance, so it's got its own little bubble. Waterville Road used to have its own bubble, now it's part of it because there's more houses there.
Good.
Yeah, I can add a little inset for that.
Perfect. Thank
and
you.
Yeah, if you ever need the map, you just let us know. We can print it. We can do whatever
Okay.
you want.
Great. Thank
The
you.
banner?
There.
Yeah,
Yeah. So all of that, I
There's a-
believe.
there's
I
a
believe
banner
it's-
also.
I believe it's all in the planning office, Garrett. There's a banner. I'm trying to remember. We probably, I need to go through that material. I won't be able to do it until June 1st, but we have it all. I have it all on my computer. You guys have it all in the planning office. So
Sandy must not know what it is.
You might.
yeah, Sandy knows
Yeah.
where it all is. Absolutely.
Like
She
a
put it
print-
all
like a
together, I think.
printer
Yeah.
or-
No, it's a vinyl banner.
Yeah. It's as big as, I
in
think
my
it's 6 feet
office.
long, 4 to 6 feet long. Yeah.
4 feet or something, yeah,
4 to 6 feet long. I can't recall.
unless Sherry still has it, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I
Well-
don't remember
She
seeing
came
a
up
banner when I
every-
went through my office.
Okay. All right.
I'll check and,
Yeah,
I-
let us know.
do
You
you
can
remember
ask
last time?
We did Cottage Street.
It's been a while since, with the pandemic, we haven't done
I know.
anything for,
I didn't know you were,
Cottage Street was the last time.
I was sick that day.
Oh.
When was Cottage Street? Was that 2019?
It was pre-COVID, so.
Yeah, probably 19.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Mm,
No,
At the
I'll-
hospital or-
I don't know if Shannon would remember, because she was the liaison at that point,
right.
I believe.
Right.
Well, if you can't find it, we're probably due for a new one, so I'll just order a new one. No worries.
I'll look for it. I don't remember seeing it in my office, but I'll look.
Okay, thank you.
All rolled up, if I remember right.
And Steve, you're gonna set up the table at the museum? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay, all right.
I'll man it.
What's that?
Too, so
Okay,
if we can get at least 2 more people, maybe some of the newer commissioners.
to do, to be docents at the table, you mean, or?
Well, no, to do the walk.
Okay, all right. Gary, is it all right if Steve and Barbara send an email to commissioners asking them to volunteer to be tour guides?
Of course.
Yes, okay. So why don't you just go ahead and do that? Do a direct email saying, we need you to volunteer as a tour guide or a docent at the table at the museum, and get people to sign up. And I'll send you some dates. I can do it as well. Does that make sense, Bob, do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sherry Horton said she'd like to participate as well.
Oh, that's great.
We
She's
need
great.
back some heavy hitters.
Yeah, good, good. All right, anything else you want us to know at this point in time? You feel good about where it is?
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
good. Steve is nodding yes, and Barbara's laughing hysterically. Okay, very good.
Yeah,
It'll
and
either
I'm-
be 100 people or 2, you know? that-
So-
Okay,
I know Rose kind of mentioned it while she was here, but so the state does an open house day,
Yes.
every year. And I think just for the future, maybe it's probably more for the museum than for this commission, to just keep an eye on, to know what that date is ahead of time. Because
Yep.
the date this year is June 10th.
oh, is it really?
So if the museum opened a day earlier, it could have, no, I didn't know about it until I talked with Rose last week. So it's Connecticut Open House Day, I think she said it's called. And the date this year is June 10th. So if we had known earlier, then maybe we could have planned to do that day, and then that gets added to a list with all the state events, so it would have been a statewide notice. So just for future reference,
That makes
kind of keep
sense.
that in mind that the state does it. And she said that they used to send out marketing material. I know this year they might not do it in the future, just because of the cost, and that social media is so prevalent now.
Yeah,
But
that's
just
good to
keep that
know.
in mind for next year, and maybe mention it to the museum to keep an eye out on that, to participate in that, because that'd be a good way to get people involved, interested.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. Thank you. Good. All right. Are we all settled on the June 11th program? Pretty much, yeah, at this point in time. Okay, great. I think that's the end of our agenda. Anything else to bring in front of the commission, Garrett?
I have nothing.
Nothing? Anybody else? No? All right, study your lovely street walking tour. Sign up and to either be a walking tour guide or a docent, and talk up the program to your friends. And part of that is talking up what a great thing it is to put your property in the historic district. Okay? We'll see each other in June. Right. We'll see each other in June.
So
June 1st is the next meeting.
you're gonna be away for a
I-
few weeks now.
Actually,
Well,
I'm-
not away now, but.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm going to be away the 9th through the 30th. We're going to Italy, Ted and I. But we'll be back on the 30th. So you'll see me at the next meeting. And
You have a great time in Italy.
Oh, wow.
thank you so much.
Enjoy the trip.
And
Thank you
maybe
so much.
really get an understanding of the Italianate architecture.
We're completely overbooked. We're going to do everything, and we're really looking forward to it. So I might be crawling to the next meeting, but I will definitely.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, you guys, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting then, please?
So moved.
A second?
I second.
Thank you.
Barb,
All in
second.
favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any, whatever that other thing is? No? Great. See you next
Know
week.
me to say.
Take care. Garrett, thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
I'm gonna be tired by then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.